All right. Tell me your name, date of birth.
Now I should tell you right
Yeah,
now.
I'm asking. Yeah.
November
You don't
10th,
look-
1929,
Okay. And you were how old today?
83.
83. All right. I'm going to start off some questions from your
Okay.
grandson, Allie.
Oh, for my grandson Allie.
Yes. Well, today's date is,
February 12th, I believe. I think it's February
Yes.
12th, 2013.
that's right. Okay. So your grandson, Al, had some questions here. What's the best Christmas present you got as a kid?
Okay, I've been asked that question a lot.
Okay.
It's always been my secretary.
All right. And what exactly is a secretary?
Secretary, oh, I don't know.
Well, what would you describe what a secretary is?
It's a place where you sit and do your writing, your bills, your letters, and it has a bookcase to keep some books in it. And it used to have a lot of little cubicles
Yeah.
that you could put all little things in the little door, but they're all gone now.
And how old were you when you?
5.
5. Okay. And what made that special, do you think, at such a young
I
age?
think that I was very interested in being a secretary. And I used to sit at it and play with a phone, and when the phone rang, I'd answer it. And I'd make little notes. And as a secretary, but I found out later on in years, I finally became a secretary. And it was horrible because I spent the day writing out his Christmas cards, making coffee for him, answering the phone, and did nothing. Until one day they needed somebody, an accountant, and they sent me into accountant, and I just loved it. But I had to go back to being a secretary, and I quit.
And do you still have that secretary?
Yes, I do.
Yes, okay.
I'm planning on getting rid of it.
Well, your grandson will probably want that. Or your son will take it. Don't get rid of it.
Okay.
We want it.
Well,
How about, do you have any recollections as an adult what you really liked getting for Christmas?
as an adult?
Yeah.
No.
Anything come to mind? That was a special Christmas
Vacuum
present?
cleaner.
Well, tell me about that.
Well, I used to clean the rugs with a little whisk broom, and I used to clean my rugs with that because they didn't have a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
And then for Christmas, Dad bought me a vacuum cleaner, and I thought that was the greatest gift. And everybody laughed at me because I thought it was a great gift.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, and there was another time on our anniversary, a 10-cent pair of earrings he bought in the drugstore for me.
And how long ago would you say that was?
Oh my God. I don't know.
I mean, did you have children then?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we lived in Brentwood,
Yeah.
and he didn't have any money, but it was our anniversary, and he stopped in a 5 and dime or something, and he bought these pair of earrings, and they really meant a lot.
Wow. Did Grandpa, your husband, ever cook for you?
Once in a while, he would make something that I liked in a restaurant, and he'd want to try to make it at home, and he'd surprise me with it, and I had to stay in the bedroom. I wasn't allowed to come out until it was all done. And often he made scrambled eggs when he came home from playing cards.
Okay.
And he'd bring me coffee and scrambled eggs into the bed.
I had told Allie that I recollect him making apple pies.
Yes, he did. He did that.
Tell
in
us
Brentwood.
about that. What was the inspiration for that, you think, to make
Well,
a pie?
I think some reason or other we had a lot of apples, and he decided he'd make an apple pie. That's,
Well, I reminded Allie that we had the orchard, if you remember where, back there where Newman Street was, where Jimmy Rothstein lived, that used to be a big apple orchard.
I didn't
And
know
the
that.
apples
I
would
know.
come from there.
Well, I know whatever it was, we had a lot of apples.
Yeah, that's where
So-
we get them.
Oh,
We'd
but
pick
I
them.
didn't know that.
Okay, we got the
Or
apples.
I didn't remember.
So is that something he did just once or twice? Is that why it's memorable to me? Was that something he did a lot? Or was it just that one
Oh.
period of time that he made
Oh, no, I wouldn't say a lot. No, he would never.
go buy apples and make it?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Which of your children gave you the most worry? And you don't have to say why. Who were you worried about the most?
Oh, God, it goes from time to time. It changes.
Okay,
It does. I mean, if you take the present, you take back then, and
okay. So it
So
has
it's-
ebb and flows.
yeah, it's you know, you when you went to Vietnam, that was, I guess, the worst.
Yeah.
And all the others, there were certain times. At the present moment, we
Yeah.
all know.
And how about the lease? Did somebody worry the lease about?
I guess Judy.
Okay, I would have answered that for you. Yeah.
Except when she got divorced and she was so heartbroken and,
Yeah.
you know, she was bad at the time. That was the only time.
Okay. Where, when, and who was your first kiss?
I was 5, and it was at a dance we went to with Grandma and this boy, the same age, probably about me. As we were leaving, he came up to me and said, I couldn't resist it, and he kissed me.
Wow.
That was my first kiss.
Wow. That had to be memorable. What was your bedroom like when you were a kid?
I slept with Grandma and Aunt Bob,
Oh, okay.
always.
Of course, you didn't have a dad around.
Right.
So you have no memories of really as your
Only-
father when you were younger?
Only time I can remember my father living with us is he was in the bathroom and I opened the door and he yelled at me. And it was such a shock because I guess I was never yelled at by him.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I remember him in the house living with us.
Okay.
And I had to be two-ish.
Yeah.
Because he
And
was
so I
gone,
guess it was a one-bedroom apartment then you lived when you...
Well,
When you
that
say-
one where I remember my father, I have no idea what place.
But you
it was.
said, when I asked the question, what was your bedroom like when you were a kid, you really never had your own bedroom, it
No.
sounds like.
No.
Okay. So it was basically slept
No,
in...
but I never remember living. Oh, a one-bedroom house?
Yeah, apartment.
No, I don't think so. I think we had more than a bedroom because Aunt Bob had her own room, but she never slept in it.
Oh, okay. And why is that?
I don't know. We just always slept with my mother.
Okay. Can you recall how Aunt Bob decorated her room? Do you have anything a memory of her room?
Yes, I can remember that she had ornaments, and one time Grandma was mad at her, and took all the ornaments and smashed them.
When you
That's
say
what
ornaments, do you mean Christmas ornaments or like little
little
knickknacks?
knickknacks, you know, that
Okay.
she had in her room,
Yeah.
and Grandma was mad at her for some reason, and she took all of them and smashed them, and broke them. That's all I remember about her room.
And I guess until you got married, did you still live that way, even as a teenager?
With Grandma, sleeping
Yeah.
with Grandma, yeah.
Same one bedroom, same one room, or?
No, we lived in so many places.
Well, do you have recollections of
Well,
ever
the
having?
last place I lived with Grandma was Lincoln Avenue.
And did you have your own room?
No, we only had one bedroom, and Grandma and I slept in it.
Okay.
And then, yeah, that was just a 3-room.
All right. So Dad moved in to that
And then
room.
we got married. Dad moved in. And Dad, I'm trying to recall because I know Dad and I had the bedroom, but Grandma only stayed a very short time and she moved out.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll hold on to that discussion. Favorite part of the Westwood house, your Westwood Drive house, Brentwood? Do you have a favorite part of that house?
No.
Okay. Amen. Besides your family and friends, what do you miss about New York?
Actually, other than my family and friends, nothing.
And you don't really miss the Brentwood house, per se?
No, there's something about that Brentwood house that, I don't know, it reminds me of unhappiness, and I don't know why.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
Except when I left it.
Yeah.
We left it and I closed the door, I cried like crazy. But I don't know why, it was not something that I love that house. I never had that feeling. I love this house.
Oh, wow, okay. What do you enjoy most about Florida?
I think what I enjoyed most about Florida was the best years I had with Dad.
Okay.
Because it was just him and I, not always. Unfortunately, I always put my kids first over him, and I regret that.
Yeah.
I do. And when we moved down here, it was like, it's just him and I, and he just loved it. And
Yeah. I understand that. When did you smoke your first cigarette, and what brand was it?
Camels, I'd say 15.
15. And what motivated you to want to smoke, or everyone else was smoking, perhaps?
My boyfriend before Grandpa, he smoked, and he taught me. You know, he was the one that
Oh,
taught me
okay.
how to smoke, so to speak.
Do you remember how much a pack of cigarettes was back then?
Yeah, like 10 cents.
10 cents? Well, okay. Do you have a proudest personal moment for you personally?
Proud about myself?
Well, proudest moment.
That I was proud about myself, or I was...
Yeah, something you're proud of. I guess it could be, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Yeah, well,
something perhaps you accomplished or felt proud about. Don't you may not have to think about that too much. Anything in childhood, something you're proud of?
No, I've never been proud of myself.
Okay.
No.
Is that because you just never felt you
Right.
were worthy, or?
Right.
Okay. Oh, you probably won't know. He's asking about the picture of the old man and the girl in the boat, but you don't really have much recollection of that at all. Tell me what you can remember of your own grandparents.
Oh, okay, very much. My grandfather was a very intelligent man. He ran for office. He was the mayor of his town. He was
Wow. Okay.
revered in the family. I mean, Grandpa Spring was like,
And Grandpa Spring was on your mother's side.
yeah.
Okay.
My
He was
other
a-
grandparents, I didn't know.
You didn't know on your. Obviously, you would never met your father's grandparents. So he
Right.
was a mayor of. Was he from?
Thompsonville at the time. It was Thompsonville. It's now called Enfield.
Was that New York?
No, Connecticut.
Oh, Connecticut.
He lived in New York, and then they moved. He was an artist, and he painted and designed Bigelow rugs.
Oh,
And they moved to Connecticut, so then he moved from New York to Connecticut.
okay.
And
What was his name?
William Spring.
Okay.
And my grandmother was a very, very heavy set, typical grandma, and she was like the queen of the family. You know, everybody, and my grandfather, everybody treated her very, very well.
And did you get to see them a lot?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. They used to have what they called an excursion. You would leave on a Sunday morning on the train, and you'd come back Sunday night, and we would do that every so often, Grandma and me,
Okay.
and all the relatives.
Okay. And it was the kind of thing you would see them in Christmas time and Easter?
No, I don't think so much the holidays. The holidays were always at home.
Okay.
But we did see them quite often.
I mean,
And of course they came down, you know.
and was he, you remember him as warm and giving, much like I remember Grandma of Walter's? Was he fun to be around? Was he all business?
No, I can't say he was fun because he was, I can't explain it. He was like the ruler of the family.
Okay.
I remember one time I was up in my bed reading a book, and he took it from me to see what I was reading, and it was The Romance of Billy Goat Hill. And he saw it, and he took the book away from me, and he said, "You shouldn't be reading that." And so that's the type he was. He
Yeah.
was like the ruler of the whole
The matriarch, so
family.
to speak, of the family.
Patriarch.
Is that the word, matriarch? And how about your grandmother? How do
She
you?
was so loving. She was loving. Everybody wanted to sit on her lap.
Okay.
You know, used to fight. Oh, I want to sit on her lap, type of thing. You know.
Do you have any idea when they passed on, the loss of them?
Yeah,
How
my
you felt about
grandmother
that?
died right after I got married. I think she died November 17th, 1947.
That's when he died. The
No,
grand-
that's when she died.
Oh,
she
she-
died first.
Oh, okay.
He died. I was married and I lived in Lincoln Avenue. Oh, I know when. He died when Keith was born. Because Keith was a newborn baby and I couldn't go up to Connecticut.
Did I ever meet him? Was I
No.
ever in his presence at all?
No, I don't think so.
Well, if he died when Keith was born, that means he was alive quite a while
Yeah, but
during
he
my
was-
lifetime, during my young lifetime.
Right, but no, I don't think so.
Did you lose contact with him after you were married?
No, no. Well, I guess I didn't go up there anymore.
How come?
I don't know, because I used to go with Grandma. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, okay. All
But
right.
I know Keith was born and Aunt Bob also had a baby at the same time as Keith. Which baby I can't remember now. I think it might have been Mary or Maureen. And neither one of us could go up to Connecticut with my mother to my grandfather's funeral, and Uncle Johnny went.
Oh, okay.
So that's when he died. But
Okay. And did he, you said he had important jobs, he was a smart guy. Do you have recollections of him retiring from any specific career? You mentioned
when he retired, it was from the Bigelow Carpet Company.
Okay.
That's what he retired from,
Oh, okay. All right.
in Connecticut.
Okay. This is probably a question we would normally have at the end of an interview, but what is your advice for a long and happy marriage?
Everybody's different. So I don't know really for other people, but I just know that we really, really loved each other. That's all I know.
Okay. All right. All right. That concludes your grandson's
Oh.
questions and
I thought
answers.
that was-
Huh? No. And we can keep going at this till you want to take a break. But I want to bring you back towards, and I remember being fascinated a while back. You were telling me a little bit about your first job and how you lied about your age and got a job in the
Right.
city. So why don't we go back to your earliest, even before then, and although we touched on it, that your memories of your room and wanting a secretary. Do you have any other moments in time when you were a child, memorable moments, something you just, if you're thinking back at your childhood that comes to mind? It seems like I always have one or two things, incidents or memories that have always been with you when you reflect on your youth. Do you have any of that, like interesting moments, interesting observations? Remember going to a movie? Remember seeing your first L train? Anything that, when you think about your youth, comes to mind?
Well, when you
Pre-adolescent.
just said first L train, brought to mind transportation, and transportation was my first black person
Okay.
on a bus.
And what, you were just in awe of it, or?
No, I just no. I think Grandma poked me, and she said, "It's raining out." That's what she said, and I said, "What do you mean it's raining out? Don't you see the clouds?" And I didn't know what she meant. And then finally, she told me it was a black person came on the bus,
Okay.
and that I remember very distinctly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
Evidently, it's cloudy and it's dark. I mean, somebody dark
yeah,
came in.
so it was a long way around telling you there's a black person. And do you remember that she pointed that person out so that you would be afraid of that person, or that was
No,
It was
no,
just
it was
like-
just like it was more or less like, what is that person doing on this bus?
I
You
see.
know, it was more or less that.
I
you know.
see. Okay, and you were very young,
Yeah.
obviously. Okay. Anything else about going your early memories of school, grammar school?
Very strict. I was very smart.
Okay.
I should be proud of that.
Yeah, proud of being smart.
No, just that I believed everything they said. I did everything they said. I would never tell Grandma or my mother anything that happened in school because that was a strict law. And I also remember every Wednesday they had a movie. And the movie was 10 cents. And I didn't have 10 cents. So I wasn't allowed to go to the movies. I had to stay in the classroom and study.
Were
By
there
myself.
anybody else who didn't have the 10 cents?
No.
It was you? So you were embarrassed probably by that and a little
Yeah, I was
mortified.
sad.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I accepted it like, well, I didn't have the 10 cents, so
Yeah.
this is okay. you know.
Yeah, this is what happens when you don't have 10
Right.
cents. And you always went to public school, right?
No,
Oh, no? Okay.
Catholic school,
Oh, I didn't know
grammar
that.
school, and high.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. Always Catholic school. And did you have to commute very far?
Yeah. Grammar school, I commuted. Not too far, maybe, because we moved constantly in that neighborhood. High school, I had to. Well, that's kind of natural. It was in City Line, but I had to take the trolley. And before I got on the trolley, I would stop in deli, and I would have a liverwurst sandwich made for my lunch for 5 cents.
Wow. And what was, and where you lived in City Line, what was the address?
483 Lincoln Avenue.
Okay. And you that was your first residence when you got married. And obviously your first two children were born in that same apartment. Is that correct? Myself
Right.
and Judy. Okay. I went forward more than I wanted to. So how about when you ventured into high school years, and that's when girls start liking boys and the
Well, I
coming of
started
age?
younger.
Huh?
I started
Started
younger
younger?
in high school.
Okay. And what do you remember about those adolescent years, you know, when you...
Well, I remember that I wasn't allowed to talk to boys, and that was kind of well known among the boys. They used to tease me about that.
That was a rule from your mother?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was well liked by the boys, and that
Yeah.
made me feel good.
Yeah, okay.
I had a boyfriend in grammar school, 2 boyfriends in grammar school, and then high school.
Do you remember their names?
I think it was Don McAllister, but I'm not sure. And John Mullally.
And what grade do you remember possibly that when you first had a boyfriend?
7th, because in 7th grade, they separated the boys from the girls because we were getting too friendly with each other.
Okay.
That was in grammar school. High school, I felt bad because I went to Catholic high school and all of my friends went to public school, so I kind of lost contact. And then I graduated from there because it was a 2-year high school. I was 15 and I went to work.
Okay. Let's talk about, so what year, how old were you when you dropped out of high school?
I was actually 15, but they made me go to continuation school until I was 16, one day a week.
What was the motivation for quitting? Was there pressure from grandma or you just...
Yeah. After the 2 years in the Catholic high school, I went to John Adams High School. And from being in a Catholic school where a teacher walked in or someone, you stood up, well, I would stand up and I would be the only one standing in the room. Their teaching was far behind what I already had learned. I had to take like stand and typing over again, and I already knew it. And I wanted to go to work and get a job because Grandma needed money.
Okay. So it was probably initiated mostly by her that we need money, and then
Oh yeah.
you took it and said, well, then I should get a job. So now you're 15, and you say, okay, where am I going to get a job? Talk about that process.
Right. So I looked up in the Catholic newspaper for jobs, and it was Columbus Circle, 59th Street. What's the name of it? I think it was Good Housekeeping. I'm not sure if that was the name, Good Housekeeping, because Good Housekeeping was in the building. Oh, Hearst Publications, that's who it was. 59th Street.
And you saw that advertised in the Catholic
and the
paper?
Catholic newspaper.
Okay.
Because I
And
figured I had to look at the Catholic newspaper because it had to be a good company.
oh, you just assumed it was a good company if it advertised in the Catholic. And the name of that was Hertz, you said?
Hearst Publications.
Okay. And what was the job description, as you recall?
That was Messenger to start.
Messenger?
Yeah. It was a tremendous building, and you got the mail for all the different floors, you know, in different offices.
Yeah.
And then I got promoted into another department that where I met Marie Nicolai. She was like there first, and she was like my boss.
Okay.
you know.
Well, let me back you up. So you live in Brooklyn, and this job was in Manhattan?
Manhattan.
Okay. And what was it? You're 15 years old. I guess you had to deal with buses, subways. How did you get there?
Subway.
Subway? And what
Just-
time? So how early in the morning would you get up to go to work? Do you recall?
I'd say about 6:30.
Okay. And work used to start when? Was it 8 o'clock?
9, I'm pretty sure 9.
Okay. All right. So you get this job, and how old were you supposed to be to get a job?
That job I must have said I was 16, but that job I didn't have any trouble. They never questioned my age. It was the next job that they found out, and the school contacted them or something, but they found out.
Let's before we get there.
Yeah.
So you're a messenger at the
Hertz
publishing
Publication.
Hertz publication.
Which was a very good job, by the way.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
job in
because you
terms.
only had certain mail times. So you deliver your mail, and then there was a break until the next mail. So you go into, they had a big recreation room. They had cots. I used to lay down, take a nap. Yeah, it's nice. And then I got, but I don't know what my job was when I went to work with Marie Nicolai, because it was very short.
Do you remember how much your starting pay was?
Oh yeah. I'd say maybe $18 a week.
For a typical 40 hours, $18 a week? Okay. All right.
Because I think I got paid every 2 weeks.
Okay. And did you turn all the money into the house?
Every cent.
Okay. And you just had money for transportation, that was it?
Right.
And
Right.
and you had to
Lunch.
buy your own lunch while you were out? Okay.
Yeah, I guess most of the time I brought a sandwich.
Okay. So this is 15. You get promoted and work with this lady. And what was that job?
I can't remember it. I can't remember it because I don't think I stayed that long. I think I quit because I thought it was going to be a clerical job, typing and all that, and it didn't turn out to be. And I don't remember what it was, but I didn't like it at all. So I quit and I went to work for the Heritage Foundation.
How did you find that job?
I guess the regular newspaper.
Okay. And was that maybe a year later? You're 16 or something?
No, I wasn't. I don't think it. I had to be 16, yeah, because I met Dad while I was working there. So I guess I was 16, but I must have told him I was 18.
Okay. This is at the Heritage now. You're 16 and you meet Dad. And how do you meet Dad?
He was standing on a street corner. And I was passing by, and he came up and he asked me if I would like to go to a party.
Just like that?
Just like that. They were all back for the service. There was a whole group of them standing on the corner. That was where they met. The ice cream parlor was there. They used to...
This is in City Line?
On Lincoln Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like right on the corner
Oh,
where
all
we
right.
lived.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So he invited me to the party. And
Were you talking to other girls, girlfriends, or you happened to be there by yourself?
I was there with my cousin Ann.
Just standing around?
No, I was going home.
Oh, walking. Oh, from work?
No, from
Wherever.
wherever.
Okay.
I lived 2 doors down from the
Ice cream parlor.
Okay. And he invited me to the party, but he did not tell me he was inviting me for Jimmy Rickett. He wasn't inviting me for himself, but he didn't tell me that. So the night of the party, I opened the door, and Dad's standing there and Jimmy Rickett. I still don't know. So then we get around to the bus stop, and Dad says, well, I got to pick up my date. And he left and picked up his date. And I was there with Jimmy Rickett. Well, when we got to the party, forget Jimmy Rickett and Dad's date. We just were together the whole night.
Okay, and interesting. I had a question, but I just lost it about that. Oh, so you were 16 years old, and here's a strange guy. He's a few years older than you.
Well, I
See-
kind of have seen them, the whole group,
Okay.
because they always used, especially when they came back from the service. Also, in the ice cream parlor, had a picture of all the guys when they were in the service. So I knew all their faces from the pictures.
I see.
And I knew that, they all came back.
So it wasn't the...
Plus, I had a fight with my boyfriend at the time,
Who was that?
George Wynn.
Oh, okay.
And I had a fight with him. I didn't have a fight, it was just disgusting. I guess had a fight. And that was the night I met Dad, saw Dad, and I was like, yeah, I'll go any place. you know.
Okay. Now, let's back up then. You mentioned George Wynn. How did he come about? How'd you meet him?
I guess neighborhood kids, because it was, actually when you look back on it, it was just a crushy,
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, we thought it was, but
Yeah,
You know.
relative. Okay, I understand. So, Dad goes to pick up his date and shows up at this party. And was a party just at someone's apartment sometime?
coming home party.
Oh, okay.
Both guys coming home from the service.
Okay. And so Dad hadn't been out of service very long at that point?
No, obviously not.
Okay.
No, I don't.
And,
No, they still wear. They were all wearing their uniforms when they were on the corner.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, they're all in uniform. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
It was Air Force, Army. Navy.
Yeah, yeah, it had to be something.
Yes, it was.
So you're at the party and Dad walks in with this girl, I guess, that's his date.
Right.
Were you disappointed? Obviously, I guess if he says, I
Yes,
like
I
to kind of
was
party.
immediately disappointed when he said he was going for his date because I thought I was going with him, which
Yeah.
I wanted to.
And had you known Jimmy Reichert at all? Or
No.
so you never even seen, he wasn't even one of the guys on the corner.
Yeah, he was, but I didn't notice him.
Okay, all right.
There was a few of them I noticed, like when you pass by
Yeah,
girls.
yes.
A few of them I noticed.
Okay.
One of them was that.
Okay. So Dad shows up at the date, and before too long, you're chatting.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah. I don't even remember her at the party.
Okay. And were there dancing at the party? And
No.
it was mostly just mingling?
I was in Dad's house.
Was it Dad's house?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And where did Dad live relative to?
Ozone Park.
Oh, okay. I don't think I knew that. Okay. Did he live near Aunt Bob? Or Uncle Lloyd?
No, Aunt Bob on Lincoln Avenue at the time.
Okay. Okay. So, but I remember Uncle Lloyd being Ozone Park, right?
Yeah, well, that was Dad's house. Was
Oh
Nettie's
yeah,
house.
where Aunt Tootsie was and everything. Yeah.
Right.
That was the house. That's where
Dad
he.
lived.
Okay. Did he pretty much grow up there at that time?
No. No. He grew up. Well, he lived on Lincoln Avenue one time when he was really small, and then he lived. We also lived in Brooklyn on Halsey Street, which wasn't far from where I lived. I can't think of the neighborhood where Uncle Dick lived, where he knew Uncle Dick. That was before, but that I don't really know too much.
I seem to remember walking from City Line to Ozone Park, either with you or Grandma. It's a recollection.
Yeah.
So was it within walking distance?
Yeah.
Not a close walk, but
Actually, City Line was the borderline of Queens, and
Okay.
then came Ozone Park.
yeah. I seem to remember walking
Yeah,
from
you
there.
could, to Aunt Bob's, you could walk.
How long a walk? I mean, was it 5 miles, 2 miles?
Oh, I don't know. Those days we walked a lot.
Yeah, I know.
I'd say maybe 2 miles.
2 miles? Wow. Okay, it's even closer than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would make sense where Dad may know some people in City Line because.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Kay lived in City Line too.
Okay.
Matter of fact, and Kay lived on Lincoln Avenue on the other side of Liberty when we lived there.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So here you are, 16 years old. You're at this party with military men. Obviously, 5 years is a big age difference then.
Well, actually, Dad was still 20.
Okay. Okay.
Because I remember his 21st birthday.
And had he been out very long in the military?
No. If I had that book, I could tell you, but.
Okay, so we're talking. What year would that be? Around 47, I guess, right? 1947?
46.
46, okay. 46. So you're 16, you start dating, and that was it, I guess. You just, from that point, fell in love and got married. And then he... and were you still working at that company?
I know. In those days, when you got married, you didn't work. So when I got married, I quit my job. And then I stayed home a little bit, but in a one-bedroom apartment and no children, it was like, well, what do you do? Well, after I left Hearst Publications and I met Marie Nicolai, I got her a job. Well, wait a minute, that's not coming yet. Okay, so I quit my job, and then I'm home. Well, what do I do?
And did you like the job at Heritage? You were at Heritage at that point.
Yeah, I did like that job.
And were you doing that kind of secretary work that you liked?
Well, it wasn't secretary. We answered letters from customers. We would reply to their letters.
Okay. What did Heritage do? What was it?
Well, I worked for the Heritage Book Club, so it was a book club.
Okay.
Now I find out that the Heritage Foundation is a very, very conservative group. They were always there, like Fox News. But people would write and ask if we had certain books, or complain about something, or their billing had to do a lot with the billing too, answering replies about, I sent a check, we'd have to research on the
Yeah.
check. But we composed our own letters,
Okay.
and that I liked.
Oh, all right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you're at Heritage for probably not that long when you get married.
No, now that you think about it, but to me it was a long time. It seemed like a long time, but
Yeah.
the whole thing isn't a long time.
Yeah. So you're bored at home, kind of.
Yeah. So
Did you have a TV at home by any chance?
No.
No TV.
No
So
phone either.
okay.
Okay. So I
And Dad was working when you met him.
Schaefer-
Was he?
No, he wasn't working, and like I said, everything our parents told us, I did. And when we met, she said, "Well, if he gets a job, you don't know if he's going to stay at it.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to be working at one job at least 1 year before she'd give consent, because I needed permission
To get married, because you were
minor.
you
I
were
was
still
17.
16. Well, you're
Well, I was
17.
17. I was almost 18, but
Yeah.
I was 17. So he worked a couple of jobs, and then he got the job at Schaefer, and that he was working a year, and then we could plan our wedding date.
Okay. Okay.
And that's what we did.
All right. So you're what age are you? You're living at home with Grandma. She's working at the. What was she doing?
No, I got her a job with Hearst.
Grandma?
Yeah, she didn't stay very long. She used to open up the mail. In the mail room, she'd open it up, and I guess times maybe people sent money to get a magazine or to get something, and she would open up the envelopes and take the money out and all that kind of stuff. But she had trouble with Subway, and she never could get off at her stop. So she had to quit.
Oh, it became too confusing. Prior to that, though, what kind of jobs do you remember she had?
None.
She never worked?
Now, yes, she did. She worked. She didn't all the years growing up. We lived in. We had a basement apartment, and she worked in a bank in the cafeteria. At that time, big banks had the cafeteria. She worked there for a while. Not very long.
And
then
were you on assistance or
no, not as far as I knew. No.
so was she getting money from your father?
Well, she told me she did not.
Yeah.
But when I started working, he dragged her into court because she did not tell him that I was working. So now, in later years, thinking back, well, why would he do that?
Unless he was given money.
Unless he was giving her money. But I never knew,
Well, the money had to come from somewhere. If she
I never knew.
Okay. But if you
I never knew.
okay, you didn't think about it. But
we lived in places when I was little where we were the janitor, and Aunt Bob and Uncle Johnny, and I did. I used to polish doorknobs.
really?
Yeah, and I do know that. But as far as, well, we never asked for anything, and,
Yeah.
if she fed us. My father used to send these great big baskets all loaded with fruit and vegetables. I remember that. And no, we never asked for money, or
Yeah, but obviously you had bills to pay, so the money was coming somewhere.
Yeah, but I guess what bills?
Well,
If she
electric.
was a janitor, probably the rent was cheap to
Okay.
begin with.
Yeah.
And
Oh, food.
electric.
Food.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So the condition Grandma had that he had to work for a year before he would allow you to marry.
Right.
Okay.
He had to.
And that would make him 21, 22 or something. No, 21.
He was 20 when we,
Yeah.
21 when we got married. No, maybe 22. 22 when we got married.
Okay. What kind of job did he get?
At first, well, he used to work for a polishing company where they polished brass ornaments and things like that. And then in Schaefer, he worked in the warehouse. And he lost that job because he had the key. And he was never there opening the door because he stayed up late the night before. So a couple of times he wasn't there to open the door, and then finally they let him go.
Okay.
And then from there, I guess he went to Sperry's.
Okay. Okay. And during that year probation, I'll call it, he still lived with his mother then,
Yeah.
and he would just come pick you up for dates. And
Yeah.
did you ever
Well,
sleep over your house?
My house.
Yeah. Okay. So a year goes by thereabouts, and your grandma gives you permission to marry. And
And it had to be on her birthday.
what had to be on her birthday? But it wasn't on her birthday.
Yes, it was.
Oh, yes, it was. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about November 21st. Okay, that's interesting. She wanted it on her birthday, huh? How'd you feel about that?
I thought it was great because I was getting married. I didn't care, but after that, I did care. Every year, I did care
Okay.
because I never could celebrate my anniversary. It had to be grandma's
Yeah, that's an
birthday.
unusual condition, right?
Yeah, but at first, I was like, "Wow, I got permission." I didn't
Yeah.
care.
So now you're married, and he moves in to the apartment with you and Grandma, and so you would have been the youngest. Okay. So you said after a short period of time, Grandma gets her own place, and
Yeah, very short.
okay,
I guess she moved back with Joe Usher because we used to live with him.
okay.
Forgot that part when I lived with him.
Yeah, I know the name, but obviously I don't remember.
Well, he's the
so-
one in the wedding pictures, and you questioned me about it. He's helping Dad with his
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that goes way back. We lived, I went to 14 Holy Martyrs School then, and he rented a room from us. And I think he might have, I don't know if it was before or whether he was, but it was during the wartime stuff, and he got a very good job at the Navy Yard. High pay, good job. So we lived in Brooklyn over a store, I think. Yeah, we did. We lived over a store across the street was the fire department. And he was renting the room. And then he said he wanted to move to a better place. And he wanted us to come with him. And we did. And we moved to, I'm trying to explain to you where it is. Blessed Sacraments. We lived in a two-family house right next to the convent of the school that I went to. Yeah, 4 years I went to 14 Holy Martyrs, then 4 years to Blessed Sacrament School. And we lived in that house. And periodically, Grandma would move out. And we'd move out someplace. And then after I got married, I think she moved back. No, she was with him before that in this place. And then she left, and her and I, that's when we moved to the basement apartment. And then after I got married, she didn't like living with all of us, so then she went back to his place. And she used to clean for him and cook and whatnot.
Was Grandma still there when I was born?
In the house?
Yeah,
Living
in
no.
apartment. No, okay. Okay.
No, it was very short time.
Okay. That was probably part of the plan anyway, that she'd move out, I guess, give you the apartment, or did it get just...
To tell you the truth, we wanted to get married, and we didn't know where we were going to live, and we didn't care. We never gave thought, well, it's going to be awkward with her here, But I guess she found it awkward with us there.
Yeah.
So she moved out.
And where did you honeymoon?
Well, Dad and I always argued about this. I say Groton, New Hampshire, and he says Groton, some other state, but it was New Hampshire.
Okay. And did you go for a weekend or a week?
Well, we went by train, and we rented a cottage. And the deal was $25 a week and $35 if we ate with them. So stupid me was like, no, I want to cook for my husband. Okay, so the very first night, I found out I couldn't peel potatoes, and I started to cry. So we stayed there 3 days, and we left.
Oh, yeah,
And we
okay.
went to Boston, and we stayed overnight, one night in Boston.
Okay, again by train.
Back.
When did you get your first car?
Oh. After you were born, I think, because... Yeah, I think it was... Yeah, I think I remember you. Yeah, definitely, because I remember the car broke down, and we were up on top of the hill, which was called Highland Park at that time, still is. It was up the top of the hill. So you had to go up the top of the hill to get to where we were going. Got to the top of the hill, and he could only go backwards with the car. I mean, he couldn't go, the car broke down. So he had to back down the hill. And I said, no way. And I took you, remember taking you out of the car, you were a baby, and I walked down the hill.
Okay.
And that's how I know we had the car then.
Okay.
That's the only remember. Then I think we didn't have a car again.
Did he
after that.
buy the car just to have a car, or did he work at a different place where he needed his own transportation?
No, never. Probably Uncle Buddy. Uncle Buddy was always selling cars. Uncle
Okay.
Buddy used to buy cars, fix them up, and sell them.
Okay.
And I think it was him.
Oh, okay. Just saw an opportunity to get a good deal.
Yeah.
You know. Okay.
And we didn't have it too long. Then we went a long span. We didn't have any car, and we didn't need one there really.
Yeah. And then I guess when you moved out to Brentwood, then you
But we had a car when we moved to
Yeah.
Brentwood.
yeah, you would have needed one. Okay.
Yeah, well, definitely.
All right. So you're married. He's working. You're still at home, trying to keep busy, doing whatever. And-
Well, then I was because I had you.
okay. Well, it wasn't that long.
I saved. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We missed that part.
Yeah.
Where I was bored at home.
Yeah.
I got a job with the Royal Range Company. And they sold gas ranges. And I got Marie Nicolai a job there.
When you say Marie Nicolai, is that the Marie and Eddie?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and
Okay.
then her at there it is. And that was, we worked with a dictaphone. We had a dictaphone and we typed letters.
Yeah.
And also I did the switchboard. And then I knew I was pregnant, but I didn't tell anybody. And one day the boss came up to me and he said, would you like a salty pretzel? So I said, yeah, but I didn't like the way he said it. And then he said something else, and he said, you're pregnant, aren't you? So I said yes. And then I worked maybe like 4 months pregnant. And then I left.
Okay. You have me, and how did that change your life in terms of
Relationship?
but anything? Yeah, I mean, all of a
Your
sudden you
father?
had a new expense and a child. Was that scary to you, or it was
No.
just again a natural evolution of marriage back
Right,
then? You just
right.
knew it was inevitable, and birth control wasn't anything you even
No.
thought about
No,
back then.
right.
Yeah, and. Speaking of that, since you went to Catholic school, would you consider yourself back then to be religious? Did you go to church
Yes.
still with Dad?
Yes.
You know, all through I remember going to church certainly in Brentwood, but
Yeah, right.
but so as a married, a young couple with a child, you and Dad both went to church?
Yeah, different times when we had,
Oh, really?
we had a child,
Okay.
but he did go.
Okay. And was he raised, I mean obviously he was raised Catholic, but
No, he wasn't.
he wasn't raised Catholic?
No, he had to make his confirmation before we got married.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Evidently, he was baptized Catholic, but he had never made his confirmation, and he got married during that year. I made confirmation during that year.
Okay. All right. Any other highlights? I'm at a point where I'm thinking of questions here. Any other highlights before we move into, the next part of your life? I recollect the movie theater, being there.
On the corner.
Did you go to the movies much?
Yes.
That movie theater?
Much? No, I never went much, but Dad did.
Yeah. And I remember what you called the bucket of blood. I can see that. I have memories
Really?
of that. Yeah, going there, having pizza, I
Right.
believe, pizza. And why was it called the bucket of blood?
No idea.
That wasn't the name of it, was it? It was just a. I don't think that.
I don't know. I don't know. It was just that was always the way they described a crummy bar.
Yeah,
That was like the common name of
yeah.
many.
That's what I thought. It wasn't
Yeah.
the name of it, but
Yeah,
I know
it
what
was
you mean.
like,
Like
where
some
you
kind of
gonna find all
saloon,
the
some
bucket of
dirty
blood.
saloon. Yeah,
Yeah.
bucket of blood. Do you remember going there to
Yes.
eat? Was that a regular place to go?
No, we didn't go out to eat very rarely, but
Okay.
that was where we used to go to drink and have a pizza.
Okay.
Before I was married, before I had kids.
Oh, okay.
But then the only place we used to eat out was after Sunday Mass, well, Dad and I would take you. We would go to a Chinese restaurant,
I remember the Chinese restaurant.
and you'd have the soup. You'd eat the soup.
Yeah.
Um,
Where is since you kind of knew that area and met Dad, well, you could drink at 18 back then.
no, yes, but I drank at 15.
Or at 15 you were going to bars?
Yeah.
And they didn't proof people at all?
No, as a matter of fact, one night I argued with the waiter that I was 16, and he kept telling me, no, you're 18. And I kept saying, no, I'm 16. You want to see my birth certificate? I'm thinking about that now, and it was just ignored, I guess.
I see. It wasn't really monitored as much, and if you looked a little older, they didn't care.
Yeah.
And so at 15, you're already going to bars.
No, I guess it would be 16 because it was after I met Dad. I didn't go to bars before Dad.
Okay, so you would just go out with him and the boys, and no one ever questioned age.
Right. We used to go to bars
And
around the corner.
where did you just hang out? Was it the Bucket of Blood? When you were courting, or
Well, when you say hang out,
well, like group people going out to have a beer with your friends? Did you go to a place like the saloon, or was there dance halls?
well, Baldock was around the corner.
What was that?
That was a bar. Uncle Eddie Mulligan worked there. No, as far as when we were going together, I'd say most of the time, Dad came to the house every night, and the weekends maybe we'd go out. But they used to have a lot of dances. Like Dad belonged to a colonial club, and they used to run dances.
What kind of club?
The name of it was a colonial club, and the whole group of guys and that they got together and they rented a little store, and they had a couch that the families gave them and they used to run beer rackets, as we called them.
Yeah, I remember beer rackets. Yeah. And by beer racket, I seem to recall you'd pay $5 or whatever it was, and you could drink beer all night long, is that
Right.
kind of thing. And could you eat there?
I don't think we ate there. I can't remember eating.
Was there live entertainment? I mean, I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
You used to always have live entertainment?
Oh, yeah.
And when you say live, was that like a full band sometimes?
That I can't remember.
But it was music enough where you could do your Lindy and
Right,
swing
they danced,
dancing,
yeah, it was
and all that
dancing.
stuff went on.
Right.
And so, okay, that's interesting. That had to be fun.
Yes, and also Grandma and Nanny, they called her, I don't know. She was in the Democratic Club. She was very involved in the Democratic
Nanny
Club.
was.
Yeah, and
And Nanny is Dad's
Dad's
mother.
mother. They also had a lot of beer rackets, the Democratic Club. Even as a kid with Grandma, I used to go to a lot of German beer rackets, and that your kids could come to that.
Do you remember Grandma? I can remember when I'd go to Nanny, she was always going out somewhere, and I assumed they were to the beer rackets every time we went to. You'll see Aunt Jackie, whatever reason. Nanny was always going somewhere. And
she
even
was always-
sometimes,
she was cooking for the Democratic.
yeah, sometimes Grandma Walters, I can remember, I seem to remember one time they went out together somewhere. I don't
Grandma
know.
Walters?
I seem to remember, I mean, not that they were friends, I don't think they were.
Grandma Walters and Nanny?
Yeah, did they hang out together or just maybe it was
Maybe
one?
once.
Okay, it might have been some
Yeah, because
holiday that we
Loretta
happened to
Rackett,
be
Jimmy
together.
Rackett's mother,
Yeah.
and Dad's mother, they used to go out together all the time.
Yes.
And
Remember
they might have invited Grandma.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did they get along?
Well, Grandma didn't like her.
Okay.
I did like her.
No, I know. No, I know. We don't have warm memories of her.
No.
No.
Very, very cold.
Yeah. I was telling somebody that recently. It just you didn't have the same things, and I can never remember sitting on her lap at all.
No.
I wonder if that explains why Dad maybe was a little like that. That's the
Could
memories we
be.
have.
I had commented to one of my kids that all the years that I was associated with Aunt Jackie around Dad, I never once heard, like, remember Mama used to say, remember, never mentioned their
Yeah.
mother. But Dad said that he and he didn't know if it was true, of his father hitting his mother. And he says he doesn't know if that was true, but he remembers that
Yeah.
his father hit his mother. He said his father drank, was
Okay.
a big drinker.
Yeah.
Because I know when Dot married Russ, and Russ was a big drinker, Dad always used to say if he ever lays a hand on her,
Uh-huh.
you know. So that
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting. One would think that it might be real if he has some vision of that. All right, so I'm going to take you back again. So you used to hang out on weekends and get dressed up and go dancing and all, and
We were dressed up all the time.
yeah, I know those were the good old days, certainly. And then I guess from there you start living the normal life, and you have a second child. Was that planned, or again you didn't plan?
No.
You just did what you did, and
No,
if you got
none
pregnant,
of the 5 are planned.
huh?
None of the 5 are planned.
Oh, okay,
None of them.
okay.
Not even you.
Okay. Well, I guess not even me because it was too soon. You probably wouldn't mind waiting a while.
No,
Well, you-
I was brought up that you get married and have a baby. And especially in my family, it was, if you didn't have a baby, it was right away something wrong. You know, everybody was big family, and cousins and aunts and uncle. My grandmother had 13 kids.
Yeah.
Then her kids had a lot of kids. And everybody got married, had a
Well,
baby.
I guess Aunt Bob was already married with children,
Yeah, she had 3 during my
3.
wedding picture.
and then your brother.
My brother got married right after he came home from the service
Yeah.
to somebody that he corresponded with. That's a funny story. This I can't remember her name, but it was Aunt Rosemary's sister.
This is Uncle Johnny we're talking about now.
Yeah, we're talking about Uncle Johnny, and this was Rosemary's his wife. Her sister, all through his service, wrote to him and signed it Rosemary, but it wasn't Aunt Rosemary. So when he came home from service, he wanted to look her up, and then he found out that it wasn't Aunt Rosemary that was writing the letters, but they got together and got married.
Interesting. Yeah. I'd like to talk more about that, but maybe we'll take a break here in a minute. I'm getting hungry for lunch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I want to think through some more questions. This is really interesting. We're only at the early stages of your marriage and all. And when you were married, having your first, second child, did you see Grandma a lot? Did she come around? It was
Yes,
kind of okay.
also.
Everything was fine there. Were there any issues that Dad had with Grandma Walters?
No,
Okay.
he should have, but he never did. He never did.
In other words, she wasn't always as nice as she could be, and Dad
No, she wasn't.
let it slide.
She wasn't, yeah.
Okay, interesting. And the jobs that Dad had, I guess at Sperry when he had certainly your second child, Judy, was his pay relatively okay? I mean, I know you never really had money, but was it competitive? Did he like the work? Did he see it as a place for long-term opportunity? And what do you recall his duties were as a startup guy
What
at
did
Sperry?
he call his wife?
At Sperry, what did he do? Was it a competitive wage in his mind?
That word that you use all the time, dispatcher, is that the word? What's the word you always say? What?
Oh, an expediter.
Expedited, that's what he did.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
Okay. Did he like it, the work?
I don't know.
Did he have benefits? Did you have your
Yeah.
children paid with hospitalization?
I don't think full hospitalization.
Okay.
It might have been like a hospital or something, but it wasn't full.
Okay.
But in Grumman's, he did have it, and he didn't know it.
Oh,
And he said the insurance just covered pregnancy and hospital, but no office visits. So when he retired, we had to go for a meeting, and they said, "Oh, your office visits will no longer be covered." And I said, "What?" And I said, "We were covered for office visits," and she said, "Yes." And all through the years, I struggled every time we went to the doctor. So we had a fight when we left there.
oh,
I was furious. I was
Sure.
really furious.
yeah. Wow, that's strange. Anything else up to that point you'd like to make note of before we break?
And what point are we at?
Well, we're kind of at, I still call you a teenager, certainly at that point. How about your first TV? Because you said when you got married. You,
Door-to-door salesman.
oh yeah.
Yeah, came and he was selling pots and pans and stuff. I don't know what he was selling, but then he started, he's got this and he's got that. So that's when we bought TV, and we paid it weekly, I think.
From a door-to-door guy.
Yeah. That's what we got.
So that would be what year about?
Oh,
I was
yeah.
born in '48. You didn't have a TV when I was born.
No,
Did,
no, because we used to go over to grandma's to watch TV. So maybe 40. Well, you were born in 48.
yeah.
Well, maybe after Judy was born, because I don't remember walking over to grandma's with Judy. I remember walking over there with you. You know, we put you in the carriage and we go over there. So probably sometime after you were born.
Okay, so that had to be a big deal.
Oh yeah, it was a big TV too. Oh, as a matter of fact, did that have a console with it? That it played? Oh, that could have been the one we got from Joe Escher.
I have memories of very old TVs, but whether they were in our house or a relative, I don't remember. But I remember that what they looked like, just a few dials or something. So prior to that, then your only source of home entertainment, I guess, is
Games.
games.
Yeah, we used to play games. We used to play checkers, and we listened to the radio, of course.
Yeah.
But we always played games.
And what do you remember about radio shows? Having a favorite radio show, or I guess
Well, you never would have heard of them.
It's okay.
Let's pretend. They used to have stories on Superman, Batman, Lone Ranger. At night, I guess mostly music. We probably just played music while we were playing our games.
All right. And was there a show like on the radio, like one of those shows that you said, "Hey, it's Friday night. Let's get ready to listen to such and such a show"?
Yeah, we did this Red Skelton High show. Listen to that, across Burns and Allen. That's about all I can remember. They used to have like these stories. What just almost went through my head. Something's Theater. Lux Theater. That used to be like a movie on television. A regular whole big story. Lux Theater.
And was it like a movie, or was it like a stage production?
Well,
Are you talking about on the radio?
it was on the radio.
Oh, okay, on the
It
radio.
was on the radio.
So it felt like, okay, so you were listening to
Yeah.
a
Yeah, it'd be a
theatrical production of some sort.
Yeah, right,
Okay,
right.
all right. Let's touch a little bit, just briefly, on how Aunt Barb obviously was married, have kids. Did you get to hang out with them much as a young mother? Did you go there? I mean, they were close. Okay.
Well, they lived a few doors down.
Yeah. And so did they have a TV? Do you remember going there watching TV with them? Or
No,
no? And how about Uncle Johnny? He lived nearby.
Massapequa.
Oh, he moved out to the island.
Yeah,
So while you were still in City Line?
right.
What year might? So what are we talking? In the early '50s, he was already out in Massapequa.
No, he did have an apartment. He did have an apartment someplace before he bought the house, because that's the first time I saw my father in all those years. Kenny was born, and Dad and I went to see Kenny. Yeah, Kenny was born right before we got married, I think. We went to see Kenny, and when we went there, my father was there with the woman. I don't remember who she was. And that's the first time I saw him in many, many years. But we didn't talk. I just saw it was him, and I walked out of the room.
Yeah. So obviously Massapequa must have seemed like a million miles away when you grew up
Oh
in
yeah,
Brooklyn.
it was a big thing.
Yeah.
He bought a house. First bought a house. We never even knew anything about buying anything. So we bought the house, and yeah.
So he was considered to be relatively successful then, to be able to buy a house and move out to the island,
We worked at the vegetable department in Bohax.
but he could still afford a house and get a mortgage.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't very much though.
Yeah, but again,
No down payment. And Brentwood, when we first moved to Brentwood, our mortgage was $57,
oh wow,
and his would have been lower because we bought in the high price time.
yeah,
His was lower. It was, that was the first development, Levittown, Massapequa.
yeah.
First thing on the island. I think maybe, I don't know what he paid for it, but
Yeah, and you remember
I'm
going
sure
there
the
much?
mortgage wouldn't have been,
Do you remember
Well,
going there
okay.
much and taking a ride out there? Was that just
Oh,
a
yeah.
chore? Okay, so when you eventually had a dependable car, you would take drives out
oh
there.
yeah, it would be like, special things. We'd go there, maybe Grandma and Aunt Bob for special occasions and things
Okay,
like that.
and again, I certainly remember Aunt Bob's, being there a lot, more so than Uncle Johnny's. Although I can remember celebrating
He
that.
lives farther away.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have memories of everyone getting together, either at Aunt Bob's or Uncle Johnny's or anywhere, on most holidays and birthdays and things like that? Were birthdays as celebrated as I think our family's birthdays were, where you made it a point for everyone to get together on a birthday?
No.
Okay. It was mostly what, big holidays, Christmas, Easter, those kinds of things.
No. No.
Okay.
I can't remember any holiday at all.
Okay.
That's funny. I do remember, well, I'm not going to bring that up. No, I can't remember, because, well, first of all, every year we celebrated Grandma's birthday. Now, you must remember that, going to restaurants all the time for Grandma's birthday. We had them every year. Every year.
Yeah, not really specifically a
No?
birthday, no. No.
Oh, well, I'm sure the other, because every single year we had a birthday party for her, and usually out. Excuse me. Well, you were to many of them, I know it.
Yeah.
But in the house, it's funny, Christmas, I don't remember ever a big dinner. I don't remember ever
Yeah.
that.
Okay. That's all I have right now. Let's take a break.
Good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Hold on. Stay there.
Plus, you're